Welcome back to the continuation of this series on building a FlutterFlow application using Supabase as a database backend. This is episode 7, and in this particular video we are going to make some changes to our application which is going to allow us to show the goals within inside the home page of our application. We're going to also be able to update those goals as well, and we're also going to include some changes to archive those goals out into the database. So without further ado, let's get cracking. So let's look at the first change we're going to make. This is the running application. As you can see here that we've got the goals that are being listed on the front screen. Now our application doesn't do that, but we're going to make those changes very, very shortly. We're also going to set some application state up that's going to get us in the position to handle the filter option here. We've got this show archives option that we can toggle on and off. So we'll get that set up in the app state as well. So let's start making the changes to the application. So back on the home page then within the widget tree, let's move over to the application state option that's just over here. So just choose app state here, and we're going to create a new state variable. And this variable is going to be called show archived, like that. And it's going to be of type Boolean. Okay, so it's going to be simply true or false. It's going to start off in false. So we're not going to actually have any archived records being shown. But of course, as the user then toggles, they'll then see that. And then just hit create. And that's simply our application state variable. That's the only one that we're going to need to create at this stage. There will be further application state variables that we're going to create very, very shortly. So we're now back on the home page within inside our application. We're in the widget tree, and we're going to choose the list view now, okay, on the left hand side. Now what the list view is going to do for us is going to allow us to make that backend query that's then going to show all of our goals within inside the home page. But of course we're going to filter on those goals. We only want to see the records that are important to us, which is the non-archived records at this particular stage. Now of course we've just set that application state variable up, so it's going to be false when the application first loads. But of course later on when we add the filtering in, we're then going to set that to true, and of course then the list view is then going to update and then only show us our archived records. So with list view selected here, just move up to the properties here, just make sure that you've got backend query selected, choose add a backend query, and on the query type we just want to choose a Supabase query here, and then our table we're going to choose goals. And then of course we've got the query type here, we're going to be bringing back a list here, so just make sure you've got list of rows selected. We're going to keep the limit as it is for now, but this is where we now need to put our filtering in. So choose add filter, and if we just move down here to the field name, this has now pulled these from Supabase. We know that we've got the schema already loaded with inside FlutterFlow, so it knows about these fields, and we're going to choose archived here. Now the relation to this particular field is going to be equal to, so just choose equal to, and then with the value, this is where we now need to set our application state variable. So just choose the little toggle there, and then within aside the app state option just down here, choose the show archived. Now we know that show archived, as I said, is going to be false by default, but of course then as we set that elsewhere in the application, that'll become true, and then it will show the related records. So further down we're going to need to do some ordering as well, so just scroll down here, choose add order, and the order of the goals that we're going to have displayed at this particular time will be on the date that they were created. So let's just choose decreasing here, so we're going to be putting the newer records actually at the top. If I was to choose these to ascending, then the older ones would be at the top, so we're going to keep that as decreasing, and we're just going to hit confirm. So if we just need to just bypass this dialog box now, just hit confirm here, and you'll start to get that view of inside FlutterFlow that shows that this is actually almost like a dynamic widget now. So we're seeing all of these ghosted kind of panels in here to show that it's a dynamic one. So that's pretty well much our list view configured. We're now going to go in and we're going to now start setting the individual values of these to bind to the fields within our Supabase table. So let's do that now. So let's start binding our fields to the Supabase goals column. Okay, so just select on the hello world here. This is the first one we're going to do. Now, if you remember, this is going to be the title. Okay, so just move over to the little selector here, just select that, and we're going to go to the goals row. Now, if you remember, the goals row is each row that comes back from the Supabase table. We're just going to choose title here. That's quite simple. And within the hello world, the actual description here, just select that, and of course we're just going to go up here, choose the goals row, and choose the actual description, which is just there. There it is. So next we're going to move on then to the progress bar, which is a little bit more complex, but let's do that now. So within the widget tree, just select the progress bar, and then on the progress value, we just need now to select that. Now this is going to be the value that we're going to pull from the database. Let's move down to the code expression. Now if you remember, the the actual progress value that is stored within inside the actual slider itself is down as a double. Okay, so it's a floating point number. So we need to convert that into a whole number. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in this argument here. So just select add argument. Within here, we're just going to choose and type in progress. So this is what we're going to reference in the code expression, just like we did actually when we did the bottom bar panel that come up. So very, very similar to that. And the actual type here is going to be the double. Okay, and the value is going to come from our goals row, and it's going to be the progress that's there. So we've now got a variable that we're now going to use, an argument that we're now going to use that's come from our that's referencing our progress field within inside our Supabase database. So of course now this is where we now need to do the conversion. So quite simply, all we need to do is we just need to divide this by 100. Okay, so we're just going to type in progress / division and then 100. So that will then give us our whole number. If I just hit check for errors here, that should pass okay and give us a little tick, which it does, and we can hit confirm. So we're going to be able to translate whether we set something at 10, 20, 30. We know we're going to see that then within inside the progress bar. So now let's focus our attention on this little value that's just here. So let's change that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in a text combination change here. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the progress, and then we're going to put this little percentage indicator on the end. So we can do that quite easily by just choosing that option up here, and we're going to choose the combined text option. And the first text is going to be our progress. We're going to go to the goals row, and we're going to choose progress and hit confirm. We don't need to make any further changes, and then add the text. We're just going to simply put a percentage symbol in here. Hit confirm. And quite simply, you'll now see that we've kind of got the reference to the variable, but you see this little percentage symbol just there. So let's now focus on this particular row just here, which is going to be quite simple for us to set up. So on the left-hand side, choose task counters text. Okay, we're going to do something very, very similar. We're going to use a text combination for this particular one. So just move up here to the little selector here, choose the combined text option. And the first one that we're going to put in here is going to be the field. So this is going to be the number of tasks that we've actually got. Okay. So if we just move to the goals row here, choose the number of tasks here, we're going to hit confirm, as simple as that, and then add some text in. And here we're just going to put a space in with a / and then another space, and then we're going to add the next piece of text in. We're going to choose that, and we are going to choose now the goals row once more, and we're going to scroll down and we're going to do the number of tasks completed and just hit confirm. So we'll see that combination come together when we hit the confirm button. You can see that now. So now let's focus on the date now that our goal is actually created. So let's choose the hello world here and then choose a selector up here. Now on this one, we're going to choose date time from Unix. Okay, so we're going to select our actual row first. So let's go to goals row and choose the created at and hit, and in fact, just the time unit. We just need to change 2 seconds actually. And then the default value, just put 0 in there and just hit confirm. We know we're always going to get in date and time from this particular field. Now the time unit we need to choose here against is seconds here. And then the available options, we just need to select this and say date time format, and then the date time format that we need to choose is one that's going to suit our application. So I'm based in the UK, so I'm going to choose DMY to represent the date, month and the year. So I'm just going to choose that. Of course, feel free to choose year, month and date and day if you are obviously in the States. Just hit confirm, and I think that's all that we need to do. Just hit confirm there, and we'll have our formatted date and time now. So of course, so whenever you're working with any kind of dates, definitely have a look at that. You might be able to format them with inside FlutterFlow instead of doing it on the server side, depending on how they originate at the source. But certainly use that to your power with inside FlutterFlow to format the data if you would like. So that's pretty well much our panel now set up. Let's quickly fire up the application and let's see if we actually get our goals displayed on the screen to make sure we've got no errors. So let's do that now. So here we are then in run mode. I've just put my details in. Let's hit the sign in option and hopefully we'll see the goal. Excellent. There we go. Our goal is being displayed, and it looks like all our details are looking pretty good. We've got 42% in there. We've got no tasks and then no task completed and the date. Let's quickly move over to the Supabase here. Let's just change this then to say, I don't know, 66. We can just move over here and we can just put the archived as, let's put the archived as true here, and then we need to just, we haven't got any refresh option here, but let's just sign back out and sign back in again, and we shouldn't see any goals displayed with inside our application. So let's do that now. Let's just hit the sign out. So sign in again. And excellent, no goal is being displayed. So our filtering is definitely working. That's good. Let's just set that back. I'm just going to set some tasks here. Let's just put one in here for completed as well. Let's go back to run mode. Let's just sign out, sign back in, and there we go. Looks everything as we expect. We've got the 66% in there. We've got the details being displayed there. So perfect. Everything seems to be hooking up really, really nicely for our application. So let's just head back to FlutterFlow and make some further tweaks. Actually, just before we go any further, I want to talk to you a little bit about row level security and why what we did in a couple of videos back was so important for us. Okay, so when we actually created the list view here and we did some filtering, so we went up to edit backend query, you can see here that we only just put one filter in, and that was just for that show archived indicator. What we didn't do is we didn't put a filtering in for the user ID. And the reason why that's important is because what we've done is we've actually let Supabase do that for us. Okay, so that's really, really important. We're letting the back end actually manage that security level for us. We don't need to filter it here, so we can be confident that the rows that will be coming back will be for the user ID that will be associated with each record within inside our table. So if you just move over to Supabase, you can see it in operation here. So here's the user ID. We know that when we actually create a goal, we're actually passing that user ID actually into the record. We could have done that actually at the Supabase level. We could actually have pulled the actual user ID out of the token and then associated that with the row at that particular time, actually at the database level. But we chose to do that with inside FlutterFlow, which is fine. But what we are certainly doing here is then controlling the further operations that we need on the actual database row, actually right at the source. Okay, so that's one thing we want to try and make sure that we do whenever we're building these type of applications, is to ensure that we lock down the security as close as we can to the data as possible, instead of it just being on the client side, because FlutterFlow is really, in all intents and purposes, is a client-side application. So of course, if you had a website, then you could then be in a situation where if you don't lock it down at the database level, you could then compromise the security of your application. So by doing it here, that's a really, really safe bet for us. And if you recall, of course, we went into the authentication option, we went up to policies, and we've inside one of the row level security. So if we look at the goals here, hit edit, you can see here that this is the token that is coming back and forth between FlutterFlow and Supabase, as we mentioned earlier. We're pulling out this term called sub, which is just text from the actual token itself. And of course, that is the user ID. So of course, on all of the operations that we're doing on our database, select, deletes and updates and all that kind of stuff, we are cross-checking to make sure that the token contains that user ID. And that's why it's really important then that we see within inside our FlutterFlow application that I don't need a filter on those users itself. The database is doing that for us. Okay, so just a bit of interesting information there, just to bring you up to speed on how the row level security is working within inside our FlutterFlow application. So back to our application then, let's now create the update goal component. We're going to want to obviously update our goals within inside this application. Now the good thing about this is we don't need to start from complete total scratch. We're going to take the create goal component and we're going to change it to how we need it for the update goal. So just right click on that, let's duplicate the component and then just scroll down here, and then we just need to rename it first. So just move up to the pencil up here and let's rename this now. Let's just move the copy like that and then just change this to update goal component. Just hit the little tick here and we're going to just change our form here, and we're going to rename our form to form update goal, and then everything else is pretty well much how we want it. We just want to change our goal submit to the button to goal update button. Okay, just like that. And then with our title, we're just going to rename this to update goal, like that. So what we now need to do is we now need to pass the record from the home screen into this particular component in order for us to update. So the record is going to be the Supabase row. So we're going to pass that into this component. We're going to then hook onto it. We're going to then make these changes, and we can obviously then update the row within inside the database. So the way that you do that is you need to set up a component parameter. Okay, so with the actual update goal component selected there at the top, let's move over to the components. So just up at the top right here, just go to where it says components, and you can see if I just hit the little plus here, you can see we've got some options here where we can set that component up. Let's choose add parameter, and we're just going to call this goal here, and then in the type we are going to choose a Supabase row. So just down the bottom there it says Supabase row, pass that in, and the table name is going to be the goal. So that's all that we need to do. Just hit confirm, and then once that's then passed in, we can then now start hooking on to the actual fields themselves. So we're going to want to display the details from that row within inside these particular fields, and the way you do that is just simply select the actual goal, move it over to the actual text field there, just select that and choose the actual goal itself there, and we're going to choose a Supabase row. We're going to choose the title, and then just hit confirm, and we just need to do the same as well for the description. Just select that one, choose the toggle, choose the goal, and then choose a Supabase field as description. Hit confirm, and then here with the goal status we just need to do exactly the same thing as well, but this is slightly different. We need to move down to the initial option value. Just select that, we go to the goal itself, go to Supabase row, and then we choose the actual status there it is, and just hit confirm. So we know now that when this particular field gets that value, is that it will actually identify the initial value, then matches these ones here. Now remember, when we actually created these particular drop downs, when we actually first built the application, we used a themed style widget which already had these options defined in it as well. So of course, if you wanted to add some additional options into this, not just these ones, or you want to make changes to them, then obviously you can go in here and make those changes. But all of that was passed across from the widget styling that we had set previously within inside the base project. So finally then, let's set the goal progress here. Just choose the goal progress here, and on the initial value just need to select that. We can go to the goal, and then we can use a Supabase row field, and we're just going to choose progress, so we know that we're going to get that set. Let's hit confirm. Oh, we just need to put the default value in, so of course we're always going to get a value passed across, but just put 0 in there, just hit confirm, and that's pretty good. We just need to update this button here. Let's just change this to update goal here, and we're just going to move now into the action flow editor, and we can then put the actions in there to then actually make these changes within inside the Supabase database. So let's move up to the action flow editor up here. Let's click open. Now this is the actions that were part of the create. We now need to make some changes. So where it says validate form, just have that one selected. We just now need to choose the new name because we obviously renamed it previously. Just choose form update goal. And then within the backend row, we're not actually inserting a row now, we're actually doing the update. So just move into the action type, just say update row. And of course, the good thing is that all of these kind of are remaining for us, but we just want to remove a couple of fields out. So we don't need to worry about these particular fields here. So like number of tasks, we don't need to have those within inside here. So we can actually remove that out. We can remove the user ID out as well, because this is an update. So those values are already in our Supabase row, so we don't need to worry about that. We'll keep archived in there for now, because we will need to come back and we're going to add some additional details into our update panel to then support the archive. So we're just going to keep that in there as well. Progress remains the same. So all of these details now remain the same. And then finally, after that, of course, we then just close out the actual drawer itself. So that should all work fine for us. So just hit close. So that's pretty well much our actual update component created already. So that's really quick to get all of that completed. Well, what we now need to do is we now need to go back to the UI. We need to now then make a change to the UI to actually then show this bottom bar. So let's do that now. So back on the home page then, within the widget tree on the left hand side, let's choose the goals container. So this is the goals container that's going to take our long sort of key press. Okay, so that will then show this bottom bar. So that's the overall panel here for the goals. So we just need to move over to the actions here and just choose action flow editor. Let's load that up, and we need to choose the on long press. So here's your different kind of your tap events here. We just want to choose on long press, hit the add action, and we're going to want want to show the bottom sheet here. So just choose bottom sheet show. And then of course we now need to set some details with inside here. So we need to set 520 here. We're going to select the components and we're going to choose the update goal component, and we're going to want to pass a parameter in as well. So just choose the pass here option, and we're going to choose the parameter goal. So this is the one that we created on our component, and we're going to want to set the value to that. So just choose the value, and of course the goals row. So this is the row within inside the list view. That's the one that we need. So just going to select that and choose the Supabase row and hit confirm. And that means that we've now got our component now hooked into the parameter that's going to be passed across. Everything else can remain the same there, so that's fine. And then of course after that, now what we're going to do is when the bottom sheet is then it's closed, we can then want to refresh the table actually within inside the home page. So this is going to be refreshing the list view. So just hit the add action option here, and let's just do a search for refresh, and we're going to say refresh database request. We're going to choose the list view as our option, and that's all we need to do. We don't need to set any more sort of details on here for the moment. So just hit the close, and we are good to go. So let's now fire this up in the run mode, and let's see how it works. Actually, before we run this up, I was getting a little bit excited. There's something that I've actually forgotten to do. Okay, and that of course is when we're actually updating, we need to actually tell Supabase which row that we are actually updating. So I was getting a little bit ahead of myself there. So just move over to where it says update goal. Let's move over to the action flow editor, and within inside the update row action, we need to move down to the matching rows option here. So just select that, and then we need to add a filter in there. So choose add filter, and then within inside the field name, we need to choose ID. Okay, so the relation to this is going to be equal to, and it's going to be to the goal ID that we actually had passed in. So just choose this. So we need to make sure we just choose a Supabase row field as ID, and then just confirm that, of course, and the two will match. So the goal will be passed into the component. We grab the ID, we match it with inside this filter, and that means that everything that we set then below will be matched to this particular goal, and of course then the update will then occur. And there's probably one other thing that I've also forgot to do, and this is maybe something that is slightly a bit of a quirk maybe in FlutterFlow, but of course is that when we actually renamed and we made a copy of this particular sort of component, what tends to happen is, and I've noticed this as well, that our actual form validator kind of almost like turns itself off. So we just need to choose the form update goal here, and we just want to make sure that we continue to validate our goal title and our goal description. So just put the two sort of tick boxes on there, and that should be good for us to then mean that our form will remain in a kind of a valid state before we actually then update the goal. So let's now run this up now, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's going to work for us. So here we are back in run mode. Let's hold the left mouse button down on the goal. So we've got the goal bottom bar that's being displayed, which is fantastic. We've got the goal title here. So I'm just going to change this to my goal 1, and then here I'm just going to type in my goal description here. Let's put a status of, say, in progress here, and then let's just move this down to say 30 there, and just hit update goal. Brilliant, there it is. All of our details have been updated. Our progress bar has been updated as well. So everything is looking really, really good. So I think we're in a good place now. There is just one more thing that we actually need to do. So we'll go back to the update goal component, and we're just going to add that archived indicator onto the actual update goal component. So let's go and do that now. So then back within our update goal component, let's add the archived indicator in for us, so we can actually now set that with inside the UI. So let's make some changes. On the left hand side where we got the text for the title, just wrap that. So just right click and say wrap with widget, and we're going to say a row. And the first thing we want to do is that text is we're going to want to reduce the height of the padding. So just remove the 16 from the top there. And what we're going to do is we're going to introduce that 16 on the actual row. So choose 16 on the row. Just put that in there like that. That means that we now can add some further text in. So just on the row, hit the little plus. We're going to choose text, and this is just going to be called archived like that. We'll sort out the spacing and everything in just a moment. We're then going to add in our next sort of widget in there. So just hit the little plus and do a search for toggle. So this is going to be, when I write, funny enough, I call it toggle, but it's actually a switch in FlutterFlow. So just choose the switch option there, and we're just going to style that up now to how we actually want it with inside our application. So just on the active color, just choose the primary there, that just gives it its blue. And on the active track color, let's just choose Scent 3, that just then makes it a little bit more toned in the background. And then on the inactive color, just choose the secondary text color there. Now that should be everything that we need there, and we just need to set the initial value. So of course this is going to come from the Supabase row itself, so just select that, and then we need to go to where it says goal here, and we're going to say Supabase row fields, and we're just going to choose the archived option just there. Just hit confirm, and that should be everything that we need set up. So just within inside the first text there, so just select that, and we're just going to now expand that out to the full width, so it just pushes everything over to the right hand side for us. Probably going to want to lose the padding actually just there. It doesn't really make too much difference, but let's just move that out there just so it closes up a little bit more, because I don't think our two widgets are ever going to sort of touch each other. So that's okay to do that. Keep it nice and clean, and I think that is pretty well much everything that we need. So let's now fire this up one last time, and let's see if our archived indicator then works for us. So here we are in run mode. Let's just hold this down. Of course, we're not going to get an update happen at the moment, but you can see here that it's displayed quite nicely with inside the UI. So what we just need to simply do now is hook this into the action that's going to be updated. So we just need to set that with inside our action flow editor. So let's just hop over to there. Let's hit on the update goal here, go to the actions, and we need to go to the backend call here. And then on the archived option just here, instead of just having this default value of false, let's just select the little toggle here, and we are going to choose the actual widget state just down here, and we're going to move down to the switch of value. Now of course we could change this and rename this to perhaps like goal archived toggle or something like that, but we've got it as that, and that's all that we should need to do. Just hit the close here, go back to test mode, let's just do an instant reload, hold our left mouse button down here, toggle that to archived, hit update, and there we go. The goal has now been archived. Perfect. I think we're in a really good place now, and in the next session we're then going to sort of build out the UI even more, but I think that's in a good place for us to manage our goals at this particular stage. We do need to add the delete in there as well. We'll come back and we'll do that in a new video, but for now we're in a good place. There you go. Hope you've been enjoying this particular video, and I hope you've learned something from it today. Of course, in the next video, we're going to start extending our application even further, because we're going to start working on the task side of things. So please do look out for the next episode on that particular one. And of course, please do like the video as well. I really do appreciate your likes. And of course, if you do love watching these videos, please do subscribe to the channel as well, because there's content that's coming all the time on my channel. So yeah, until the next one, we'll see you soon.